Season 2 of Squid Game arrived and delighted millions of fans worldwide. However, not everything is perfect. The new episodes have received criticism online. Many believe the new season doesn't live up to the first one. But how true is that? We'll find out. Today on CharlieTales, we'll review the good and the bad of Season 2. As always, I warn you that this video contains spoilers, so you've been warned. Ready? Let's begin. My first positive point is the new characters. Squid Game is a series that stands out for many reasons. For example, the intriguing deadly games and the powerful survival plot. But beyond that, the most important thing has always been the characters. In Season 1, we had amazing characters who stole the fans' hearts, and Season 2 follows the same pattern, introducing us to interesting, diverse characters with solid backstories. For instance, Player 120. She is a trans woman who wants to win the prize money to complete her transition and start a new life. Without hesitation, I can say that she's shown in every appearance. The character is super charismatic and has certain details that make her fascinating. For example, she has military experience, making her incredibly valuable in the war organized by Gi-hun. In many moments, she proved to be talented in the games and never disappointed in battle. She is one of those reliable characters who is truly a pleasure to have on the good team's side. Thanos was also fantastic. His deranged attitude fit the season perfectly. I would even dare to say that Season 1 didn't have a character like him. He was very unique in his own way and had a lot of potential. Too bad he was killed. Of course, there are also simpler but equally valuable characters, such as the mother and her son, who constantly protect each other. It will truly break my heart when one of them dies. We also have the pregnant woman and her conflict with her ex-boyfriend. This pair has a lot of potential. Of course, the new players are not yet at the level of the characters from the first season. In Season 1, we met legendary players like Ali, Sang-woo, Saebyok, and even the old man Il-nam. These characters became iconic, so it will be tough to match them. But we must remember that most of the new characters are still alive, and their stories are incomplete. We need to wait to see how they end in Season 3 to compare them fairly. The potential is there. They just need to seize it. My second positive point is the battle of philosophies. Many think Squid Game is just a series about survival and deaths, but it's not. From the beginning, the series has presented the games as a way for the protagonists to battle to prove their ideologies. We saw this in Season 1, but on a very basic level. On the other hand, Season 2 expands this idea and takes it to a new level. Let me give clear examples. In Season 1, when we reached the final episode, Gi-hun bet against the old man. The bet was to see if someone would appear to help a homeless man on the street. Gi-hun bet that someone would, and the old man bet otherwise. This was a fascinating clash of philosophies. Gi-hun has always been someone who sees the good in people, while the old man has no faith in humanity. That's why they bet. And in the end, Gi-hun won. This idea was already present in Season 1, but appeared only a few times. In Season 2, it is explored more deeply. A perfect example of this was the battle between Gi-hun and the recruiter. Both had different philosophies and competed in the Russian roulette game. The recruiter argued that Gi-hun had no value as a person. He claimed Gi-hun was just a loser, like so many others, and that if he won the Squid Game, it was pure luck. The recruiter wanted to prove that Gi-hun wouldn't have the guts to finish the Russian roulette game. But Gi-hun showed that he was someone capable of giving it his all. He stopped being a coward long ago. Now he's someone who lives for a mission and is willing to do whatever it takes to win. The real competition wasn't about who would take the bullet in Russian roulette. The competition was to see if Gi-hun was cowardly enough to back out. In the end, Gi-hun won and proved his strength. Season 2 shows another battle of philosophies between Gi-hun and the frontman. This one is more extensive. In Episode 2, Gi-hun talks with the frontman and agrees to enter the games with a bet. The frontman argues that all players are trash and will do bad things when the moment of need comes. On the other hand, Gi-hun is someone who has faith in humanity, so he enters with the idea of ending the games with the help of the people themselves. This is another battle of philosophies between two characters. That's why the series shows us several times how Gi-hun tries to save players and constantly encourages them to vote to leave. Meanwhile, the frontman infiltrates alongside Gi-hun to watch him fail. In the final episode, we reach an important point when Gi-hun organizes an attack against the guards but sacrifices members of his own team to achieve it. Here, the frontman won because he proved his point. Despite Gi-hun being a good person, he was willing to let people die to achieve his goals. There is much depth in this entire battle of ideals, and we could spend a lot of time analyzing it. But in summary, Season 2 incredibly explores the battle of philosophies and expands them to a new level we didn't see in Season 1. Now let's move on to the bad aspects of the season. My negative point is that the season feels very incomplete. Season 2 is quite good. However, its main flaw is that it isn't a solid season on its own. It is too obvious that they created this season just as a bridge to Season 3. This has caused much frustration among fans because the best is saved for 2025, making Season 2 feel unsatisfying. Season 2 introduces good characters and interesting plots, but almost none are resolved because everything is being saved for the future. With this in mind, it's understandable that fans are upset and feel this season isn't on par with the first. This issue affects some storylines. For example, there are plots that are dragged out too much, like the policeman's story. He was very interesting in episode 1, but once he boarded the ship, his story became incredibly boring. He barely did anything. It's clear they're stretching this plot so it can last until Season 3. This issue also caused the deaths this season to lose impact because they couldn't afford to kill the protagonists. They need them alive for Season 3. Surely there will be significant deaths, but until then, Season 2 ran out of material. The most painful death in Season 2 is Gi-hun's friend, but there are others that weren't well executed. For example, there's the case of Thanos. This character was genuinely interesting. He seemed like one of the great villains of the season. I expected a lot from him, but he simply died in the men's bathroom in a very simplistic way. I'm not saying the character shouldn't have died. I fully agree that characters should die when the plot requires it, but they could have given him a superior ending, something more compelling. They just stabbed him, and that's it. This character reminds me a bit of the thug from Season 1. You know that big guy who was quite violent and died in the glass game? This man was also evil and deserved to die. But when he did, his ending was brutal, quite fitting for someone who always did wrong. This didn't happen with Thanos. His death is pretty simplistic in comparison. Season 1 had legendary deaths, and that couldn't be repeated again. The main problem with Season 2 is that it focused too much on setting the stage for Season 3 and didn't leave anything to use now. This could have been fixed by adding some storylines that began and ended here, like the recruiter's storyline. That story was brilliant and concluded in the same episode. More stories like that would have greatly improved the season. In conclusion, Season 2 of Squid Game is excellent. It develops many interesting ideas and introduces high-level characters. Unfortunately, the season feels like just a bridge to the grand finale, leaving a sense of dissatisfaction. Still, I totally recommend the season. That's all for today. If you liked the video, you'd really help me out by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also, remember to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.